Shalom, this is Sophia, the Ameru Khan Mariam, and we're here with a video. This is actually a response to a really short video a brother made asking why, what's the use of religion, basically. Why would we practice a religion that comes from a man and, has all these things and it's just, it's overall restrictive. And it's corrupt, right? And so I thought I would answer this question because there may be people who are new to my channel or new to me, and this is a good primer or explanation of my journey and the value that I find personally in using religion as a tool in which to organize my thinking, because that is how I look at it. The church in general is supposed to be a support mechanism. It's supposed to be something that you use to support your daily activities. It's something that you arrange and organize your life around. The purpose of church is to fill you with a philosophy that you can apply equitably across your life. Now, having been raised in the church and gone to a lot of churches, many churches are failing at this. Just the basics. Many churches are failing at the basics, okay? Most religions are failing at the basics. And so the first, point of that is that the point of church is not to have or to develop my personal relationship with my God or my Savior or my Messiah. That's or my mother. That's not the point of going to church. Church is for moral support. It is to uplift you. It is to give you hope. It is to give you peace. It is to raise your vibration so that you know what vibration you're trying to match for the rest of the week, or if you're Orthodox, you go every day sometimes, or if you go 3 times a week, whatever the case may be. It raises your frequency so that you can know what frequency you need to be at on a day-to-day basis. What I find is that people who don't regularly communicate with other people with similar religious beliefs have a much more difficult time orienting themselves to what is actually happening on this planet. And that's because it does take it's very difficult, let me put it this way. It's very difficult to hold a high frequency by yourself. Okay? The reason why, if you've been watching the channel for a while, and I say this all the time, the reason why I've been able to elevate myself and hold this high vibration and this high frequency is because I have a group of people which I'm affiliated with, and we study together. We figure things out together, and I this is my team that is private, okay? But I have a group. It's not just me by myself. So when I get ready to present information, it's not information that I just pulled by myself. I've, talked talked to the others about it, let them know about it, gotten their opinion about it, and seen, what information they have that can add to the conclusion that I've come to. And that is not within a church setting, that is outside of a church setting. So most of my religious advancement is from study that I do on my own. And so that is not to be confused with religion in general, because again, you have to study on your own to have your own understanding. Study to show thyself approved. You're not going to get that from the preacher. And then man and woman can be corrupted. And so you do have the problem of the individuals who hold the power being corrupted in some way. However, we are also corrupt ourselves. And so that's the second part of it. You really can't judge people. You really can't judge people because they hold a particular belief that maybe you don't understand or you don't agree with. What I do is when I hear somebody say something that I don't understand or I don't agree with, I will take that information directly to the spirit and say, well, I don't understand this. What does this mean? And I will wait to receive my revelation like that. But I have realized, sort of coming for full circle in the quote unquote truth is that there are certain things in your bloodline heritage that incline you towards certain behaviors. And if you have an inclination towards a certain behavior, then you will spend most of your life miserable if you just run from it. It's much better to figure out how you can embrace it. So for me, I come from a family that spent all their time in church, that dedicated their entire lives to church. So for me to run from the church is ridiculous because I'm just going to run back to another church. It's much more of effective use of my time to find a church that meets my philosophical baseline and can help me to advance my personal religious understanding. And so that is why I personally attend an Orthodox Christian church, because the Orthodox Christians have a lot of information that they've been holding for our people to come back and activate. And this I have really come to realize just by reading the stories of the saints. The things that the saints did, these people cannot do. They cannot do. However, these are things that I have seen in my life. These are things that people, when I tell them the stories, they've seen in their lives. And so to think that that's not a real thing, that these things are true, these miracles have happened, it happens all the time. We just, again, a lot of it is that we're not asking the right questions. So I will say that there are a lot of people who are they're religious, but they don't have a relationship. And so that is really the problem, being religious with no relationship. I'm very religious, but I have a very strong relationship, and I focus more of my time on my relationship than my religiosity. And, again, this is one of those things where you do have to think, and come up with what works best for you. But like I was going to say a few minutes ago, what I have noticed is that judging anybody's religion doesn't get you anywhere, because I don't know what anybody's background is. So if it's somebody who attends, the mosque, or they're Jehovah's Witness, or they're Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, that's probably their lineage. That's probably their lineage. And I would do best to learn about their lineage as opposed to cursing their religion, because I don't, it doesn't, because they have propagandized us so much that we believe that every organization is bad. This is the same way in which they've propagandized us to believe that, America as a system was their creation. Them being Satan, the Leviathan, Levitical priesthood, whatever you call them. They didn't create this. The Most High God is the creator. These people are imitators. So what they did is they took America, which was already a fully formed country before any of these people arrived, and they laid over top of the real America their corrupt system. So what would I look like as an inheritor? giving up my inheritance because these people stole it. No, no, no. You have to give me my inheritance back. Give me back everything. This has nothing to do with whether I like America, hate America, whatever. It doesn't matter. America's my inheritance. And so what you're not going to do is trick me into giving up my inheritance by forfeiting it. I won't do that. I won't do that. And so it's the same thing with religion. Jesus, Yeshua, whatever you call him, was my brother. So you're not going to trick me out of my inheritance by convincing me to throw my brother under the bus. That's what it boils down to. See, because a lot of it is not understanding where your position is on this planet. And you do have to do a lot of shadow work to come to these conclusions. This is not stuff that I say lightly, having, thought about this for a minute or something. No, this is what I've been thinking about day and night for the last 2 whole years. Well, 6 whole years, really. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I here to do? Who called me? This is not something I come to lightly. So when I say, for me, these religions that were started, all of them were started by my brother, Little Phi, from my video earlier. These were started by my brother, my father, and my mother. I'm not forfeiting my inheritance by giving them up, which is why I go into every religion. This is why the church is just for moral support. I go there, in Orthodox church, we sing, we get incense, we get prayed for, get the vibration really high, talk to people about what normal stuff, I guess, whatever. And then I come home and I'm back in the books. I'm studying the saints. I'm studying my cards. I'm studying the religions. I'm following all the breadcrumbs wherever they go. I do that in my personal time. When I go to church, that is my time to communicate and commune with people who have a similar worldview as me. But I know they don't have a similar personal relationship as me. So I don't have to confer with them on things that are involving my personal relationship. Let me deal with my personal relationship on my own, and you guys do your own thing. That's fine. The relationship you have with your creator is personal. It's not something that somebody should be getting in the middle of. Because if someone tried to get in the middle of me, my relationship with my daddy and my mama, it ain't gonna work too well. Or my brother. This is my family. I'm the inheritor. I'm the daughter. This is my family. I'm not forfeiting my family to the Gentiles, to the heathens, to whoever. And even those terms are terrible, because the whole point of Yeshua coming is to graft people in to the bloodline. That's the whole point. Speaking specifically of Christianity, he grafted the Gentiles in. So there are no Gentiles. The Gentiles, really, we need to call them idol worshipers. Either you're an idol worshiper or you are worshiping the Most High God. That's it. Those are the only 2 distinctions. Idol worshipers and Most High God worshipers. That's it. Everything else is semantics. And so I don't like the term calling, certain skin tone people Esau, calling certain. When I say Gentiles, I mean these are the gentlemen, the leaders, and the money changers. That's what I mean when I say Gentile. I'm not talking about the everyday person, with a different skin complexion on the street. I'm not talking about that. I don't talk in terms of that personally, because I don't believe it. Adam was black. Eve was black. Cain was black. Abel was black. Noah was black. All of Cain's sons were black. All of Abel's sons were black. Or Seth, really, not Abel, didn't have those sons. These stories are all about black people. So how can I be mad at somebody who's not black? None of the stories are about you. You're not Esau. No. And I don't think heathen is the right word either, because The heathens are the Levitical priests. They're the heathens because they were practicing ritualized magic, dark magic. So white people aren't heathens either. And so I think that use of terminology like that by our people in the quote unquote Hebrew community is very misleading, and it's due to a lack of compassion. Honestly, I have a lot of compassion. I very much try to look at people and treat people like my brother did, and I know that that is against what most people do, but that's the reason why people don't like religion, because clearly in the book it says to love your neighbor as yourself. Well, who's your neighbor? Who's your neighbor? If you have a group of people that came here from Andromeda or all these other different planets, are those planets not your neighbor? So if you are a alien species or whoever you are, you're still my neighbor, and I'm supposed to love you as I love myself. Honor my father and mother. That's the first commandment. And love your neighbor as yourself. That's the second commandment. So if I'm to follow the two base, Moses came down with a bunch of rules. They got tossed out and broken up. Then, he comes back with 10 commandments that are easier to follow. And then you have Jesus. He breaks it down to two. Love, honor your mother and your father. Love your Lord your God with all your mind, all your body, and all your soul. And love your neighbor as yourself. And these people can't even do those two basic things. Mommy. They can't, no. Excuse me. They can't even do those two basic things. Those two basic things are enough to cause problems. And so, it was kind of a roundabout way of answering it, but again, sorry about the 2-year-old. I use religion as a moral compass. It allows me to be able to focus on other things while not questioning everything about my existence every 5 minutes. So I have always said that I believe the Bible is true. Do I believe it's complete? No, but I do believe that it's true. What is there is true. Now, is it perfect? No, because there's lots of translation issues. When you're trying to translate from a pictorial language, please, when you're trying to translate from a pictorial language to a language of, words, and English being the language that it is, there's going to be things that are not properly translated in there. You have to go through other books and you'll figure out what the real translation is. But in all actuality, if you read the Bible and you question what things mean, and you don't just read it and accept it at face value, but you really think about it and say, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to, who is my neighbor? Like I just said, who is my neighbor? Is my neighbor, who is my neighbor? Who is this? Who are these people? Please don't do that. So, that's how I use it. I just, can you please remove him and lock the door on the way out? Thank you. I know he's going to start screaming. Thank you. Oh! I know. What? The ham of all ham. Okay. So, yes. So, I've said that a lot of times. I believe the Bible is true. I don't believe that it's complete. No, I don't believe that it's 100% accurate. Especially the version that we have, because of the translation errors. And I can accept that. That's why I have to go and do my own research once I read something. And if you look at all the different versions of the Bible, just in the Bible app, you can get a different understanding from version to version. But that's what I have to do at home on my own personal time. So I use religion as a compass. I use attending church as moral support to help me identify the frequency that I need to be on and how to get back up to that frequency. It also helps me to maintain that frequency. And that's not something that you can do at home by yourself, researching, studying on your own. I also find that people don't really give the spirits a chance to communicate with them if they're not out amongst people. So you can get a lot of messages, and I have personally gotten a lot of messages just going to church. Like when I first started back, they were wearing the priests would wear different robes for different things, and I didn't know anything about this, so I would show up wearing the same color as the priest, and this happened over and over, and it wasn't always the same color from week to week. Sometimes it was different colors, and I would still manage to show up wearing the same color that they were wearing over and over and over again, until I was like, that's interesting, wonder what that means. And I went and did some research on that. Or the message that the priest would give, or the scripture reading for the day was a scripture I had just been talking about, or the saint for the day was a saint that had come up for me in some mysterious way the previous week. This is how if you don't go to an organized church setting, it's very unlikely that the Spirit can speak to you in this way. And that's missing out on a huge opportunity to communicate with the Spirit. And my thing is, I don't like to leave any tools in the toolbox. So I communicate with the spirits all different kinds of ways, whatever way I feel comfortable with. But I don't limit it because of, I don't want to go to church, so I'm just not going to. No, there's some power to that. There's a lot of good things that I have gotten from attending an actual church with actual people that I will not be willing to trade for anything, really, to be honest, especially now that I understand that the church is moral support. And do I believe every single thing that every priest or whoever says? No, again, I have to take and process and come to my own conclusions. What I'm finding is that a lot of times what they're saying is true. It's just that me as a philosopher, I want a deeper understanding. And that deeper understanding cannot come from a priest. It has to come from the Most High, my spirit, my higher self, my spirit team, the Holy Spirit, someone else. It's not going to come from the priest. And that's just because I don't think all of these pastors are not philosophers. And so once you understand who you are, like me, I know I'm a philosopher. So I know that I'm going to naturally go into things from an angle that most people are not thinking about. And I have a lot more information right in the front of my brain than most people do. And I can correlate things to stories, and I'll take a story and talk to, like I said, my team and say, hey, what about this story? Oh yeah, I heard that story. Do you remember this? Do you remember that? Look in this book, look in that book. That's how it goes. So the best thing you can do for yourself is, get you a team of people you can trust, that you can talk to about different spiritual aspects. And then the next thing you can do is just find a church to go to. And it doesn't have to be a Christian church. It could be a mosque. It could be a temple. It could be whatever. But you are not going to, you're going to miss out on the opportunity to raise your vibration, your frequency to a high enough vibration where you can have a more direct connection with the Most High if you don't go into a facility. And I know no one wants to hear that. I'm sorry. There's no other way for me to describe it. When you go to a physical church with physical people, you get a certain vibration put into you that you cannot get at home by yourself. You just can't. And I know no one wants to hear that. And I understand it. I understand very, how much of a pariah this is going to make me within the community. But someone needs to tell you. You're not going to get it by watching someone on the internet. You have to literally go and be around people. We are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it loses its savor? And if you're sitting at home researching with a bunch of people behind a screen and you don't actually physically talk to people, physically interact with people, physically touch people, you don't have any savor. You're salt with no savor. And that is the worst thing to be. Or you're a tree that doesn't produce fruit, which we also know is spoken of in the scriptures very poorly. So you can be a tree that produces no fruit. You can be salt that has no savor. And that's a choice that you can make. Me personally, now this is not to say that you go back to that same church you grew up in, this and that. No. You want to find a different place. You want to be led. You want to ask the Spirit, What church can I go to that will fulfill my needs? And you'll get an answer. But if you don't ask the question, if you don't seek, you can never find. And that's in the Bible. Again, there's lots of good stuff in the Bible if you learn how to read it and you take off the programming that's been given to you by whoever. There's a lot of programming out here. Even many people do not know this terminology and why I use it, but I call it the Hebrew mind virus because there's a particular group of people who believe that because of my skin color, I have special rights and special access to God, and I don't have to actually do anything. I don't have to study. I don't have to try to be a good person. I don't have to anything. It's just because of my skin color. And I find that to be extremely racist. And I find that it takes you down a path of saying that of superiority. And that's what got us in this problem in the first place is a group of people, the Levitical priesthood, believing that they were, and the nobles believing that they were superior to the Israelites. And so to avoid that, I don't judge people based on the color because I know that the stories in the Bible are about people who look like me, all of them. So the people who don't look like me, that's a totally different thing. They're just not, they I don't have no beef with them. That my battle is not with them. My battle is against the nobles and Levitical priesthood. The people, everyone else, that's irrelevant. And not that they're irrelevant as people, it's just that their path is different than my path. Non-blacks have the opportunity to be grafted in through belief in Jesus. That's your way in your door. Not just Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever form Jesus came in. He's all of these things, okay? He's all of these things. Yeshua, Hebrew, whatever. But he's the door opener. He is the conduit. He's the way that you can get grafted in. And so the people who believe, they can get grafted in. And not just believe in Jesus, but believe in love. If your religion is simply to love everyone and not judge anyone, that gets you in the door too. The rules to get in are very easy. Again, a lot of people, to me, what religion does is it makes it simple. Especially me as a philosopher, I want to make it difficult. And I want to make it complicated. And it's not difficult. And it's not complicated. It's very easy. Love your God with all your mind, body, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Very simple. The common denominator is love. And so if you just love everybody, when it's time for you to be judged, you'll be judged on that. Hey, I didn't believe in a religion, but I just loved everybody. All right. How'd you do at that? Yeah, I did the best that I could. All right. Let him in the door. He's good. As opposed to, a Levitical priest who was like, yeah, my religion, yeah, I'm a Levitical priest. I'm a follower of Jesus. Okay, well, how'd you do with love? Love, I hated everybody. Matter of fact, I put a curse on you last night. Okay, send him the other way. He's got to go downtown, man. He's got to go down. He's not going. He ain't getting VIP access to the crib with the gold and all of that. He's got to go back down there and do that again because he missed the lesson, and the lesson was love. And if we can just do that, we don't need religion. But that's very difficult to do without religion because especially if you've never had the vibration of love shown to you, you don't know what that vibration feels like. And so that's what you use religion to, is to get onto that vibration. You see, and at least that's what I use it for, and that's what I recommend. And I think that makes it easier. Again, I have a particular religious belief so that I don't have to every 5 seconds question who am I and where I'm from. Well, if I know for myself that book is about me and my people, then I don't have to question where I'm from. I know my story is going to be in that book. And when I read that book, I see my story. And like I said, you could pick any religion, whatever is the one that makes you feel comfortable. Because I know some Jehovah's Witnesses who, I don't know what God Jehovah is. That's a powerful God, man. Whoever that is extremely powerful. I'm not messing with that guy. Is he more ranked than my God? No, no, because I serve the divine. I serve the Creator of all things. So he's not more outranked than my God. However, he's a very powerful God, and I respect that. Do I believe everything a Jehovah's Witness says? No, that's not my religion. I don't come from that lineage. I don't come from that lineage, so that's not something that resonates with me, and that's fine. But I don't judge anyone who that does resonate with them. That's their lineage. That's their history. That's fine. I'm a philosopher. I come from a line of royalty, people who had to think and execute judgment and evaluate people's character. So I have to be somewhere where I can learn how to do those things in a way that allows me to participate in everything. Because if you look at Yeshua, he went to everybody's party. He sat at everybody's table. Everybody had him over for dinner. And whatever was put in front of him, he ate it. He wasn't, it's pork, I can't eat that. He ate everything. Read the stories. Read Mark. Mark will tell you. That was a fat boy right there. He knew every party. He knew where everybody was sitting. He told you what people was eating and all of that. That's Mark. Fat boy. So, you know, that's just me though. That's just how I particularly view it. That's my suggestion. And so I just wanted to sort of answer that question because I do think it's a valid question. But I do think it's a question that's pretty difficult to understand the answer to, because a lot of people will give you an answer that's not personal to them, but an answer that is general, very, very general. So, I hope this is helpful. Hope this is helpful for all of my viewers and why I take the position of recommending people go to a church. It has nothing to do with what you're going to learn at the church. That's irrelevant. What it has to do with is what you will feel at the church. What you can feel at a church, you cannot feel at home by yourself. It's just not the same. Now, of course, I recommend an Orthodox church. Just me, very different. The beliefs are different and all of that. That was a church that Jesus left behind. Peter and Paul went around and put this church out. That's just me. However, doesn't matter. You can do Buddhism, Hindu, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. So I hope that was a helpful answer. And pray peace be with everyone. All of the positive vibrations I can send to everyone. And I'll see you in the next video. Shalom.